So the first question we're going to ask in this review is the Samsung S25 Ultra the most premium flagship phone of the year? And that's the question we're going to answer in this review because I think ultimately it can be, and it could be, due to its fantastic specification, its great screen, and its overall really nice design. It is very similar to the S24 in a lot of ways, but also has some good upgrades. Now, I'm going to start this review by saying I've never been a big Samsung user. I've not had Samsung phones before. I've always used iPhone. I've not had Samsung laptops. I've not had Samsung tablets. So this is relatively new to me. So I bought myself an S24 Ultra for £800 reduced and tried that out for a few weeks. And then I got my S25 a few weeks later. And I have to say, I've been absolutely loving the devices. I think they're really, really good. So let's get into this review and find out my thoughts after a few weeks use on these phones and compared to my iPhone, which I use every day. So first up is the unboxing experience. Samsung continued to deliver a premium presentation. Inside the box, you have the Galaxy S25, USB-C cable, and the usual documentation, but no charger, copying iPhone and Apple. This is very similar to S24's packaging. It's not changed at all in any way. It looked exactly the same. Even the colour of the box was the same. It looked identical. So if you got two boxes side by side, it'd be hard to tell the difference unless you looked at the logo at the bottom. So as I've just touched on, manufacturers don't include chargers anymore, but it's nice to see some manufacturers like Nubia, for example, or Red Magic, which I've tried out recently, and even Honor throwing in a charger for free. So it is starting to go back to where we're getting a charger on some of the devices, but not always. And I think, I get it. Some people don't need the chargers, some people do, but as devices get faster and faster charging, we don't all have enough chargers in the house. So I think it's nice to have one included, or at least have an optional to have one included. So I wish they'd just give us an option to have one. That's enough said about that, though, as that's for a whole other debate. So the S25, design-wise, boasts a nice, sleek, modern design, and it is a 6.9-inch now AM OLED display. So, it looks great. So this is the S24. This is the S25. It's really hard to tell the difference. The main difference is essentially they've rounded off the corners here and in here, around here. So you've got, the design is very similar, and they've just narrowed the bezels on the screen. So instead of a 6.8-inch screen, you've got a 6.9-inch screen now on this phone, which is, it's nice to have the extra phone real estate, and they managed to do it without making the phone feel too much bigger in your hand, but it's still a big device. The S24 was always a big device, so please don't think it's not. So the resolution on the screen is the same. It's not really changed very much. Just got a bigger size screen. So compared to the iPhone 16 Pro Max, it's exactly the same size screen, and the resolution is pretty similar as well. But I think the S25 has the edge on the screen side. So the S24 had a fantastic screen, and the S25 also has a fantastic screen. It's very similar screens on both phones, but I think it's better than the iPhone screen ultimately. I think the iPhone screen is very good, but the Samsung S25 is the ultimate flagship screen in my opinion. And a lot of people say that, and I agree with it. I think it is. So for watching anything on it like videos in HDR, HDR10 Plus, which Samsung are known to support, it looks great. Netflix looks really good. Gaming looks really good. You've got the super high refresh rate, 120 Hz, which I know you have on the iPhone as well, so it's very similar. I just think the screen on the Samsung looks better. So if you don't agree with me, drop me a note down in the comments below and tell me why. But I think the Samsungs have the ultimate screens and the best anti-reflective coating on the market. So, while both these displays are top-notch, the S25's ultra-large size and higher resolution gives it the edge over the S24 for those who prioritise screen real estate and detail. So I personally think the S25 is the best screen compared to the S24, even though it's very similar because of the extra few inches you've got. So people may be thinking, is it worth picking up an S24 over the S25? And that's kind of what I'm going to try and do in comparing this review, because there's been a lot of reviews on the S25 out there on YouTube, but none of them really say whether you should go for the S24 or the S25, because the S24 is still on sale. I picked this up for £800 in the 256GB model. Sorry, this one. Get confused because it looks so similar, and it's been an excellent value, and it's a really good performer. It's got a really good chipset in it. It's not no slouch whatsoever, and if you're not bothered about having the latest and greatest, and you save yourself about £300 or £400, and go the S24 is still a good buy in my opinion. So the S25 comes in a variety of different colour options. So we've got black, green, pink, gold, jet black, silver, blue, grey and white and silver, which they're not the official names, but just a quick run over. And these colours give the device a premium look and feel. It's nice to see a flagship Ultra phone offered in different colours, whereas the iPhone only comes in 4 different colours. And Samsung have, given us a unique approach by doing this, and the S24 was available in similar colours. But now we've just dropped the yellow and a few other ones, so similar colours, but we've just dropped, I think they're a bit more muted than the S24, so we're going down the iPhone route now, which is not good. Keep the flashy colours, Samsung, we like it, honestly, we like it. So the iPhone 16 Pro Max, as mentioned, comes in gold, titanium, white and black, so it's a bit boring. The desert gold's quite nice. I've got the white titanium, and it's a really nice finished phone, but it's not anything that exciting. When you look at for example, the lower down range models, you've got much nicer colours. Even in the Samsung, you've got the nice coral red in the S25, which I picked up, which is lovely, and I'll be doing a review on that soon. So one of the standout features of the S25 is the camera system. So it comes with a quad camera setup on here. So if you look, so you've got this 24 and this 25 here, it looks the same, and that's because the camera system more or less is the same. It's not really changed that much. So you've got 200 megapixel main sensor, which is the same sensor. They have tweaked the aperture on it a bit, and they've made it, they've tweaked the software behind the processing on the images a bit, and they've put a new ultra wide in, which we'll talk about in a minute. So you've got a 50 megapixel ultra wide on the Samsung S25 and a 12 megapixel ultra wide on the S24. So I've taken some shots on both. To me, they look very, very similar. The S25 probably performs a bit better in low light than the S24. I'll put some samples on there, let you decide which one you think is best. And is it worth upgrading? If you've got an S24, is it worth upgrading for the ultra wide alone? I don't think it is. I think the S24 Ultra still has a great ultra wide. So if you're happy with the S24 Ultra cameras, stick with it. So the S24 Ultra, on the other hand, so you've still got the you've also got the 10 megapixel periscope telephoto lens and the 10 megapixel optical zoom and the 3D depth sensor. So all that is the same. Again, they've tweaked it a bit, but it's very similar. The S24 has exactly the same, apart from it's got a 12 megapixel ultra wide, as we've just said. So the jump to a 50 megapixel ultra wide in the S25, Samsung have promised us more detailed and clarity in wide angle photos. And iPhone 16 have done the same. So iPhone have jumped from a 12 megapixel to a 50 megapixel ultra wide. So iPhone has a 48 megapixel fusion camera, which is really good. It's one of my favorite cameras on the phone. It's excellent. And a 50 megapixel ultra wide. Again, I don't think there's that much difference between the iPhone 15 Pro Max and the iPhone 16 Pro Max in terms of ultra wide pictures. I think they look very similar. You maybe get a bit more detail in there in the pictures, but nothing to say, oh, go out and buy it now. And the iPhone 16 has a 12 megapixel ultra wide telephoto, which is similar to the Samsung. And these 12 megapixel ultra wide, these low resolution telephotos are starting to look a bit dated, in my opinion. So you've got phones out there now, like the ones I've tested recently, like the OnePlus 13, which has a 50 megapixel telephoto, the Oppo X8 Pro, which has a 50 megapixel 3x and 6x zoom, and they take fantastic pictures. So Samsung and Apple are starting to look a bit dated now on the phones, I think, which is a shame. So while the iPhone's camera system is really capable, the S25's ultra higher megapixel count and advanced zoom capabilities give it more versatility for photography enthusiasts, I would say. So from real-world testing, I think the Samsung has the edge for photos, and the iPhone is still the best for video. So the Samsung will do up to 8K video in 8K 30, and obviously the iPhone does 4K 120 on the Pro models. And I love that 4K 120 is the best mode feature they've put out on the phone. I'm currently testing the Nubia 70 Ultra, which also has 4K 120, so I'll get to my thoughts on that later on the channel. I'll let you know if it can compete with the iPhone, because that's the only phone I've tried that will have it alongside the iPhone. So the Samsung camera app is packed with features just like the iPhone. You've got Pro mode, night mode, 8K video recording, as just mentioned. That 200 megapixel sensor captures stunning detail when you have it in full resolution, and the periscope lens allows for impressive zoom capabilities without losing the clarity on the pictures. Compared to the S24 Ultra, the S25's camera improvements are noticeable, but they're not night and day difference. It's noticeable more in low light conditions and high zoom scenarios, because you've got better AI processing on the S25 than the S24, so you've got the faster chipset. The iPhone 16 excels in low light, I think, as well, and it swings around about, but I think the iPhone 16 maybe does a better job in low light than the Samsung. But again, some shots on side by side, and let me know what you think. Do you agree with me or not? I think the 4K 120 does fall apart a bit on the iPhone in low light, but still offers great performance. And both devices deliver excellent camera performance overall. I don't think you'll be particularly displeased with either device. So whether you went for an S24, an S25, or an iPhone 16, I think you'd be very happy with all of them for the photographic performance. And it's really only for us smartphone enthusiasts that it means that we have to upgrade every year, which seems very expensive, very daft, but we love it really. Well, I do anyway. So the S25 has a higher resolution zoom and it gives the extra capabilities. If you want the ultimate camera setup on a Samsung phone, you're going to have to go for the S25, but the S24 does not disappoint. So please don't think it's 9-day difference. There really isn't. It's a very minor upgrade and you won't notice that much. I love both phones' cameras were excellent, and the iPhone 16 has an excellent camera system as well. So under the hood, what's it powered by? So the Galaxy S25, as mentioned on their launch, is powered by the Snapdragon 8 Elite CPU. So this is the big CPU that's powering all the new phones nowadays over the Snapdragon 8. It's designed for Galaxy, so it's specifically clocked for the new S25. The S24 is no slouch though, because this is powered by the Snapdragon 8 Gen 3, which is a great chip, great CPU. I've got it in plenty of phones and tablets in the studio, and it's a really fast chip. So you still get the same 12 gig of RAM, you can get up to a terabyte of storage, that remains the same. So this combination ensures lovely smooth performance with the gaming or multitasking and streaming content. Both phones feel absolutely fine to use. None of them feels slow. I wouldn't say there feels any difference in terms of gaming or performance. Maybe if you when I've put the settings on full on both phones under gaming conditions and photo editing and stuff like that, then you start to notice a slight performance increase over the S24, but it's very minimal, very minor. And it's not 9 days, so please don't think it is. So if you're coming from something like an S22 and S23, then you'll start to notice the difference. But the S24's chipset is still really powerful. So the iPhone 16, as we all know, has the A18 Pro, and I think the Snapdragon 8 Elite can compete with the A18 Pro hands down. It's a great chip. Neither phones feel underpowered in any way. I didn't notice much difference between using the iPhone 16 and the Samsung, even apart from the run iOS, not Android. So both devices offer top-tier performance, and it basically comes down to your personal preference over Android and iOS. I love Android. I love Samsung's take on it. I love the new Samsung operating system based on Android 15. I think it's great. I'm very used to using both iOS and Android, and I don't have a particular favoritism over one or the other. So I just like both, but that's because I have to do that for my job. So battery life and charging now. So battery life is a strong point on both phones. It's not the best battery life in the world compared to something like the OnePlus 13 or the Oppo X8 Pro. It doesn't have a silicon carbon battery. It just has a 5,000 milliamp battery. So it's 45 watt charging. It's very similar to what a Google Pixel will do, which I've not mentioned yet. It's very similar to the Pixel's lineup in terms of battery performance. It'll get you through the day easily. I found the S24 was a bit worse on the battery side of things because of the older chipset maybe. And the S25 was better, so there's more power efficiency on the S25. So if battery life is your main concern and you want the absolute best battery out of a Samsung device, the S25 is where you're going to have to go. As was mentioned, it's got 45 watt charging, it's got 15 watt wireless charging. It doesn't have a built-in magnet, so you can have to buy a magnetic case if you want to stick it to a magnetic charger, whereas the iPhone does have a built-in magnet as the MagSafe, which is a really nice premium feature. Samsung said they didn't build magnet into the phone because they wanted to keep it lighter. If you're a big wireless charging fan, that may be disappointing. For me, it particularly doesn't bother me that much. I just buy a magnetic case if I want to use wireless charging. I've got a magnetic case from OnePlus 13, and I love it. It's a great case. So the iPhone 16 has a much smaller battery. 16 Pro has a much smaller battery than either of these devices, but the 16 Pro Max has about the same. So in terms of battery life, it's probably about the same. So there's not much in it. The things like the OnePlus 13 and other devices will last a lot longer. So if you want a full day's use and the battery is the most important thing over anything else, look at something like the OnePlus 13. I think that has a better battery. And it's a great phone and is a bit cheaper as well. So in terms of real world usage, then how did I find the S25 out? With moderate use, including browsing, streaming, occasional gaming, the battery lasted for me over a day. For heavy use, lots of photographs, video, 8K, stuff like that, it was lasting me half a day to 40 minutes, half a day to just over a day. So I think compared to S24 Ultra, the battery was definitely a bit better. The iPhone 16, as I say, performs the same, so there really isn't much in it. I think if you want the ultimate battery performance, none of these are going to give you it, but they aren't bad. So the software side of things, the S25 runs Samsung's One UI 7 based on Android 15. The interface is nice and clean. It's not full of too much bloatware. Yes, it's got Samsung's apps on it. It's got Samsung Dex on it. It's got plenty of features on it like password. One thing that did annoy me was that the Google passwords wouldn't transfer over to my Samsung phone. It made me use Samsung passwords. So I had to enter all my passwords again. And that may be just a setting I need to change. So sorry if it is, but it just did irritate me when I first set it up. Same one. So the S24 is currently running One UI 6. That will be upgraded in the next few months, apparently, to One UI 7. So as soon as that happens, I'll drop you a note on it to tell you when the upgrade's available. So the S25 does bring more refinements, and I think overall One UI 7 is better than One UI 6 and runs smoother and feels easier to use. So the iPhone 16 obviously has iOS 18 on it and provides a seamless user-friendly experience. If you want the best user-friendly experience, the easiest phone to use, the iPhone 16 is the one to get. It's not, there's no contest. iOS is in my opinion, the easiest operating system to navigate around compared to any other. And it has, you've both got Face ID on these phones, and you've got iMessage on the iPhone, which people love. And they're both robust ecosystems, and they're both good in their own right. But if you're used to iOS, then stick with iOS in some ways because it's really easy. If you fancy having a change, the Samsung one is worth learning because it's great. And I've got a Samsung laptop here, and it integrates perfectly with the phone. So it's a really good ecosystem as well. And both ecosystems are really easy to escape from. Please don't think you have stuck with one or the other. So for those of you who care about eye care as well, both of these have, I think the Samsung Android phones are better for this. They've got eye care features built in. You look at Honor, OnePlus, they've all got eye care features built in, which really is nice to have. So in terms of AI then, I've not thoroughly tried out the AI features to full extent on these, but they have Google Gemini on both of them. I think AI is better on the Android device at the moment than Apple's. I think Apple's AI is very hit and miss all over the place. I did try some of the writing tools on it, and I did like them. I think they're really quite good. I actually use Microsoft Copilot on these phones anyway because I found that's really good. But again, if you disagree with me, drop a line down in the comments down below. So I will try the AI features on both these phones in more detail and post a review about the Samsung AI, what I think about it and everything like that, because I don't want to make this video ridiculously long. So my overall final thoughts on this is that the Samsung S25 Ultra is an impressive device and does set a new standard for flagship smartphones, as well as a new price level. With its stunning display, versatile camera system, powerful performance and long-lasting battery life, it's a top contender for the best smartphone of the year in my opinion. Compared to the S24 Ultra, the S25 Ultra does offer an upgrade in certain areas, making it a worthy successor, but it isn't night and day difference. It offers obviously a better camera, slightly better ultra wide, a slightly bigger screen, so areas like that. The CPU is slightly upgraded, but it isn't night and day as I mentioned before. So if you find an S24 Ultra on a really good deal, because remember this is still going to get another 4 or 5 years of Android updates, just buy it. It's a great phone. Both of them come with the S Pen. Obviously, the S Pen on the S25 does not have Bluetooth anymore, so it can't be used as a camera shutter, which has caused a lot of controversy amongst people online. So if that irritates you, drop me a comment down below to let me know what you think, because obviously you could pick up an S24 with the Bluetooth S Pen for a lot cheaper. So that if you really want the Bluetooth S Pen to use as a camera shutter, just pick up the S24. The iPhone 16, on the other hand, offers it's definitely a strong contender to the Samsung, but it's not necessarily coming out on top spot in my opinion. I think if you can live with going to Android, the S25 is the ultimate flagship phone at the moment in 2025. Why do I think that? I think just because when you use it, you will know. The cameras are great, the operating system is really good, the performance on the Snapdragon 8 Elite for me after using it on several phones is actually better than the A18 Pro I think for general use, and I just love the Android operating system on the S25. That's just my opinion. Disagree with me again, let me know down below. So I think Samsung has the edge. If you want the true flagship of 2025 over the A16 Pro Max, go for the S25. In my opinion, it beats it. But if you are on a budget or you don't quite want to stretch the S25, the S24 is not far behind at all, and it's easily as good as the iPhone 16 Pro, if not a bit better still. So thank you for watching. I think that covers everything. I've tried to sort of compare both together because I think these are the three sort of phones people will be looking at the moment. An S25 normal, S25 non-Ultra review coming soon, which I've got in coral red, and I love it, and there's not that much in it, so stay tuned for that. And please subscribe to the channel for the full review coming on that soon. So thanks for watching, and I'll get that review on as soon as I can. So please subscribe and give me a thumbs up if you enjoyed the video. It means everything. Thank you very much.